Yeah, since I don't think there was.
That's the bill.
There was anything. Yeah. Well, his parents, practice, so I don't. When he was saying, he's getting $15 a pound for bacon. He says, $15 a pound for bacon, and I'm losing mother. That's why I say, I don't know. Something's not right.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. The only one we have right now on Zoom is Charlotte.
Are these the agendas?
There should be a whole bunch of them. Probably they're still in here because Jim hasn't done his job today.
Hello.
There you go.
Yeah, I can Xerox.
Yeah.
Or-
No, we have, yeah. Thank you. Okay. We'll start with the warrant items. We have payroll number 83. I'd like to make a motion that we approve payroll 83 for $4,320.44. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 84 for $60,450.48. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? And that 60,000 includes almost 28,000 for paving for snow plowing. And also 30,000, about 30,000 for transportation. We have that quarterly bill to pay. I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 85 for $12,159.26. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? And lastly, I'd like to move that we accept payroll number 87 for $10,826.59. Do I have? Oh, it's supposed to be. Remember that? Yeah. Okay, got it. Let me start that again. I'd like to move that we accept payroll number 87 for $10,826.59. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. And that includes about 4,600 for the CEO, which is why this is a more than our usual accounts payroll. Yeah. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from March 24th, 2025 select board meeting. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, let me see if I can find that and we will sign it. Just to make sure. All right, next on our agenda is selecting the paving bid for paving of Lower Main and West Shore roads. We had 3 bids, one from Hager, Allstate, and Crooker. We did a little bit of research, got some input into just references and whatnot, and we have made a decision. I think we have to actually, we talked about it. We will make a decision today. And I think based on our conversation, we looked at the prices, but we also looked at the amount of material that was being used and whatnot. And so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Hager bid for $317,305. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
So can I ask a question?
There's a discussion too, though, yeah.
So that was not the low bid,
No, that was not the lowest bid, right?
but I think you said in your analysis, then did you determine that it was the best bid?
Yes.
Could you explain why you think it was the best bid?
Yep. There were a couple reasons. One, we just talked to references and got some information from that. We also looked at, for example, on the amount of material that was used. So, for example, Hager had like for reclaim, Hager had 6,000 square yards for what we were needing to have done, where Allstate has 5,950. The HMA, for example, the finish was at 340 for Hager versus 328 for, it was like consistently lower, so less material. Which of course would have brought the bid down, but after talking to our road commissioner, we also felt that it made more sense to have more
More
And-
material. and because
yeah, more material to.
Hager's numbers were similar as
Yeah.
far as quantities.
Quicker was just way past. what we-
Yeah,
what we had
Too
planned.
much per ton,
Yeah.
and you're talking, plus tons, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you come with things, the best solution for the town,
Yeah.
best over the long haul.
Yes, it's not always the lowest bid, it's also, checking your references, checking to see, making a comparison with the amount of material that's being used or whatever it is, but in this example, Hager was using more material, which is why it costs a little bit more, but, we felt like,
That in concert with the discussing, people that have used companies.
so anything to add to that, road commissioner?
No, I feel pretty comfortable with Hager, the bid.
Yep.
I just want something, a good job that's gonna last.
Yeah, you've got to work with them, yeah,
And as I've explained to April, because I'm not very good at explaining to the public what's going on in my hand. In an ideal world, these roads, now that they're, like the North End, I'll use the example, because now that's 5 years old. You'll notice some cracking started. In a perfect world, year 10 to 12, we would put an inch and a half overlay around it. The culverts are done, there might be some minor ditching, but then you can stay on decent roads. For short money compared to letting them fall to pieces and having to basically. Do all the drainage all over again. Grind what's there because it's so deformed that you can't, and grinding's very expensive. Now we're starting with something fresh that we can build on. But the old hut top it's concrete basically, so. The older it gets, the harder it gets, the less flexible it is, the more apt you are to see cracks. The idea is to keep the cracks out of it so water don't get in it. That's why you just have good roads, you gotta do an overlay every 10 to 12 years.
And you've got that now in your long-term road commissioner plan,
If we can get caught up to where we should have been.
so that we know though, in like year 9, we need to project forward and say, well,
That's why I keep,
we wanna ask you for this much this year because we got the North Road to redo, or we
Right.
got the Doggett Road to redo, or so.
right, and that's why I keep asking for that 25,000 for the paving reserve. Is because when that day comes, when all these roads have been done. I want money to get started,
Yeah, we need to start that now so that we have it when we need it.
right, when the time comes, we can start, all right. This is 12 years old, let's put an inch and a half over the whole thing. You could probably do that for $100,000. We spent, a lot more than that. Because you gotta grind these things, if they're so far going, you can't let them get that far going.
Right. Yeah.
Just, my other is the following kind of questions, okay, when do we think we'll be doing? Yeah, so I think, so now that we made a decision and we're gonna be waiting with anticipation for the smooth ride we're on.
Tomorrow,
The prep has already been done, you
Yep.
did culverts last
Yep.
year.
Yeah, we gotta do some gravel and some grading by Gary's house.
Yeah.
And we gotta pull the guide railings out. It looks like we're into June on Hagar's schedule. So hopefully by June,
June's a good month for it.
well, it is, I don't wanna do it too early, I don't wanna do it too late, I wanna get it done as quickly as I can, but I want, no, the road is. Dry
Try.
and settled and not gonna move. And plus, I gotta work with them. June works,
you think it'll be
May.
spring by then?
what's that?
You think it'll be spring by then?
Well, probably, yeah.
I'll tell you tomorrow morning, depends how much snow.
Oh, yes,
Height or, I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, it looks like June, Jeff, and then the guard railings will come sometime after that, the shoulder.
So,
and you are
My name's Hunter Carl from All States Materials Group.
That's right. You were here before, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, because we did
Yeah,
contact you.
surface preservation will save you a lot in the long run. The more you, even if you pay just for crack sealing to keep the water out from those cracks, and the surface preservation is 1/3 the cost of reclaiming your sections that you're doing now. So if you paid 300 grand this year, it would have been 100,000 for him to overlay that section, essentially.
Well, we appreciate you putting in a bid and, like I said, we did, look at all of them and actually we had help with who looks at the fine.
Mistake a little bit there.
Yeah, and that's why it takes us a couple weeks because we do check in references, we, have conversations about it and.
This number 4, sometimes I'm like 16 down on the list, so you can actually.
Oh, there you go.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care.
You as well.
All right.
I have a question.
It is.
When was the pavement that's on West Shore Road, the section you're gonna go over now? When was that last done? Does anybody know?
I didn't have gray hair.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I might even have hair, I don't know.
5 years?
Yeah, it seems longer than that, I don't know, yeah. Yeah.
So it's 2.
Oh, yeah, because then it's full of holes, I mean.
I'm gonna say around 30.
Yeah.
Because I remember when it was dirt, that culvert just below Gary's house washed out. We had to get out and fix it, there was no hot top there then. So it's at least 30 years old.
Yeah, so the one thing that I was gonna mention too is like, we have a lot of gravel roads. And I'm sure we're gonna have residents that would like to see their gravel roads paved, but once you do it, you really can't not keep it up.
Right, if,
So there's that unfortunate balance of, you couldn't really go in and take all that old pavement out of West Shore Road very easily or inexpensively, so.
my problem with taking when they do a shim coat, they're trying to get it relatively flat, because what you pave over is what you end up with in the end. So if it's all like this, that's why I stopped on East Shore Road where I did, because beyond that, it's all. The town paid for that hot top, it's material. That's why I like grinding it, because we don't lose it, we don't haul it away, it stays there and it helps build the road up. Which obviously the higher the road is, the more dry it will stay.
Right.
But. You can't pave over that, like the lower main road. You can't pave over that because there's too many potholes.
Mm.
And,
The stuff from scratch.
right, and that's what we're doing.
Right.
I can't flat pave that they put down the sand and the tar years ago, but they could go twice the distance for the same money. You can't
Didn't
pave,
last twice as long.
you can't pave over that because the adhesive between the old hot top and that stuff. Failed, and that's why Doggett Road, if you remember right, was all graded, and you can't patch that stuff. So you gotta grind it, get rid of it, and start from scratch.
Okay, so,
The key is not letting them get to that point. And as far as the dirt roads go, most of what I heard when we did the road paving plan was no new hot top, seemed to be a common denominator, so. The only thing I could see on the island that isn't paved, that we may want to consider in the future, would be the first 400 feet of Bay Shore Road, the hill.
How about the mud spot on West Shore that we have right now closed? Like it's paved down below that, going down into the. Would it be
Yeah,
paving over that piece that's so bad right now, maybe?
that intersection you're talking about?
no,
Okay.
people don't want pavement, that can be fixed, that can stay dirt road and that can be fixed.
Yeah, okay.
It was on Sotwell, we fixed a similar situation on Sotwell Road, so that's part of the whole road, all for it.
Yep.
Dick Tucker will testify. to
Yes,
that.
he did. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, with the ledge and drainage issues, but there, it just, it has to fix the road basically.
Mhm.
Paving wouldn't work.
Right, even to pave that, then you'd end up 3 years from now with just a bunch of busted up pavement.
I was thinking you would have to fix it first.
Yeah.
and then pave over it. If we were ever gonna come back up the hill with pavement, it would be that.
Yeah, I don't think people want it, and the only reason the other section is paved is because of the hill and the causeway.
Mm.
Uh. Why it continues on past Carney's house, I don't know. That actually is ancient, hot top, and that's in pretty good shape.
I think that was Jack's.
Yes, no.
Yeah, I think Jack actually paid for that himself.
That's all right.
It's his house, yeah.
Yeah, he did when he was, briefly with the road commissioner, and selectman, yeah, he paid for.
Problem for the dust going by, you know.
Yeah. Where's them?
Easier for them to get across.
Yeah. But, you know, there's not a lot of traffic on that, but that hill definitely has to be hot top because winter maintenance.
Thank
All
you.
right, and we're not even on roads yet.
Wait, did you make a motion to select the Hager bill?
Yeah.
You did, and you voted?
Second, Kim.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. And we were going with, take,
Okay.
okay. Citizens issues, and I'm assuming we're not gonna wait till the end to talk about, so I'll bring it up here, is you probably wanna know whether we added a paragraph on the Wormwood, so if it's further down the list, we'll bring it right up, since, you're sitting there in the audience, and, so after the three of us had lots of discussion about this and trying to come up with something that was gave a little bit more impact, but yet wasn't so harsh that, so we added this paragraph. I don't need to read all the other.
Give me a copy, that's all that.
Anyway, we had, the findings based on the CEO, and we had 5 different things that he needed to do. Continue to stack the wood pallets, erect the 3 portable garages, remove and relocate machinery and small equipment into those buildings, making sure it doesn't discharge any fluid or whatever. Keep the area in the front clean so that vehicles can be parked in the driveway, and continue to clear out. So we added in a paragraph at the end that said, the select board has been working with you on this issue for over a year. We've been working in good faith, trusting that you would comply with what we all agreed upon. It is our hope that you will continue to act on your word. We are asking that these final steps be taken by June 15th, 2025. We feel that we've given you ample time and consideration along the way. As we've previously stated, we do not want to take further action with you regarding this situation unless we are forced to. So we've given them a date of June 15th to comply. We had originally in there things that we were going to start to charge them daily, but we felt like we needed to give them a deadline before we talk any further. So we added that.
And then we also extended, if you don't feel that this is something you can.
Oh,
do,
yeah.
That we've offered to help,
You're right.
to give them a hand.
Yeah.
To get it done. And it's really not, at this point, moving the pallets and putting the tents up is not a lot to ask for. So
No,
it's right.
but, you know, I remember when I came on the beginning, when Jeff was still here, he came with the whole list, every day I'm going to do this and that. And then there was a second thing where
Yeah.
code enforcement office made the list.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less stuff.
So I know,
But-
and it's just, it's at the point now, you know, what we're asking him to do is not. Complete, you know, beautification of his yard, so neaten it up, straighten it up, get those tents up, put the stuff away, that kind of thing. And we do have to. Unfortunately, take the next step if he, you know, doesn't comply, we have to, so.
Should have been done. Well,
I know, but you know what? None of us like to hurt people financially. I know,
But there's certain rules and regulation in this country, and all we ask.
Right. So the other half of that is that it needs to apply to everybody. Right,
No, I agree,
so
but I think,
it opens a great Pandora's box.
yeah, but it's not unreasonable. It's not laundry. I didn't say you should get rid of everything.
It's just neat it straight.
Well, you clean it up a little bit and you don't hurt your neighbors, that's all, and that's nothing laundry.
So hopefully,
You know, see, we're gonna keep monitoring it, and I do walk by there and, but, and if I see any new
I mean, you see,
machines or whatever,
his tent is still laying.
I get,
mean,
yep, and it's mud season, so I don't know that I could get anything in the ground right now, but the biggest thing is keeping it publicly safe. And we have had Gary look at things to make sure that all the machines are empty, there's nothing there. And I will try to monitor myself just to make sure. He's gotten rid of some of his cars. He's gotten rid of a lot of the engines or the, you know, some of the 37s. It is better, and I know it's not perfect. And you know, to have the neighbors well checked, you know, we don't know when it went bad. We don't know how long it can be bad. That's something that's sort of out of our responsibility.
Blame you for that, but all I'm saying is there's certain rules and regulations. I mean, there's committees who make all kinds of stuff, some meeting. What are they for? If nobody, you know,
And I agree with you, Mario. The challenge is, it's like, so do we say you can't keep more than 25 pallets here? Or, you know, how do you quantify when it is no longer a
right.
a junkyard, and when it, you know, it's like, if I have pallets in my yard, I probably have 10, maybe 12. But you know, so at what point that
it's a very-
exactly.
I think. You know, when you drive by somebody's house and it's all they need is a few flowers, no problem. If you drive by him, there's pallets, there's engines, there's all kinds of crap laying around. So it's very simple to judge and say, this is not good and this is fine.
It doesn't look good, I agree, but to judge and say he needs to fix this, even though somebody else on the island, because nobody's complained, doesn't have to. That's also part of the sticking point is, so we're gonna continue to monitor it. We're gonna send them this letter, if we all agree. And we'll keep checking on it, and we'll come back in June, and you know, I will be looking myself, and I will ask Gary to look, but
Will you give me a copy when you finally have it finally?
is that, I'm assuming that's probably a freedom of access?
I think so.
Yeah, so we can actually make one for you today. So I'd like to move that we accept this letter and send it on to Mr. Wunwick. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Right, okay, so let's sign this. Next on our list is Evan Gutkowski. Evan,
Hello.
All right, can all of you hear? All right, Evan, you're gonna talk to us about the county tax?
Yes. I left you guys a couple pages in your mailboxes. Did you get
Yep.
those?
Yep.
Good. And I had the county treasurer, Michelle Richardson, provide a summary of what's increased.
That's what did this. Yep.
So you can see that 100% of the budget increase is wages and benefits. And she notes that the operational expenses decreased by a total of 132,000. And after revenues are taken into account, the total increase on the budget was $1,064,670. So salaries and benefits are up, 7% increase in the cost of health insurance plans. Plus, we had to implement paid family medical leave, and it's a union contract year. So those are the majority of the increases from that. I would say that Michelle budgets for the most expensive scenario. So in terms of bringing on a new full-time employee, she basically will budget for a family of 4 And sometimes these people are a one person, and sometimes they're married, sometimes they've got one, two, sometimes they got 3 or 4 kids. So she usually budgets for a family of 4 coming onto the insurance, and hoping that that's the most expensive scenario.
Small, yeah.
Yep. So that's the majority of it. I would, if you want to look at a fun one to look at, you can look at the deeds office, which is the big money maker due to the fees that they charge. So that actually brings in well over $100,000. Trying to pull it up.
Who is that?
Deeds office.
Oh, deeds, okay.
Yep, not DD, but deeds. So they
Freaking
brought in
deeds.
200,000 last year, and they bring in 180,000 this year,
Wow,
this past year.
that's crazy.
And then I wanted to remind you guys, or
Pretty
alert you if you didn't know, that we have the Budget Advisory Committee that has a caucus. So 3 people get to participate from my district. I think we only had 1 participate last year. So the latest by statute that we would notify you is September 22nd. So we would probably early September or late August solicit people who want to be on the Budget Advisory Committee.
Right,
And then anybody can attend those.
yep, I know. I did that the year before and then they somehow slipped my radar this year.
Yep.
Yeah,
Well, I will give you a healthy reminder when the
yes,
time comes.
definitely do that.
Yep. One interesting thing is that the original bond to pay for the jail that's shared between Lincoln and Saginaw County is finally getting paid off this year. The bad news is there's already some things to take care of for maintenance. So I don't know if it'll be a decrease or bet net even or what kind of the plan is, but that's the
Well, that's
short term on the jail.
Why is the jail transport cost lower?
Absolutely a great question. I think that they've been short-staffed for quite a while, and I think we're actually still short-staffed, so it may have just been we didn't even have the employees to fill the holes.
Not that people are going less, it's just we don't have anybody that we're paying for.
So,
Usually.
Or there might have been
Jeff.
different
When you guys are done, I'll ask a question.
Yep. So. Anything else you wanted to add?
Any questions
Evan?
you guys want me to go research?
Well, Jeff's got a question, but I want to make sure you're done first.
Yep.
Was there any, okay, so Jeff,
Evan, has Michelle talked at all about where there are revenues at risk because there were funds coming from the federal government for grants or for shared costs?
Yep. Some stuff, it's nothing too sizable. So the sheriff's office has something called a Stone Garden Grant, which works with Department of Homeland Security. The sheriff's office is not currently doing those details because we're not receiving any funds. We've sent, I think, a quarterly invoice for that, and we have discontinued doing those details under that program for the time being. I don't have anything else off the top of my head for other missing revenues, but I mean there's always going to be a nickel and dime thing that we're suspicious about at this point in time. I go with this adage when people ask about that if anybody tells you they're comfortable right now, then they're lying to you, and that's that.
Sort of.
yep.
What you guys on is the treasurer for an organization gets money from the county. A quarter of our budget for the Soil and Water Conservation District in Knox and Lincoln counties has come from the federal government. We've been able to expand our services because we're able to get money from the Department of Agriculture.
Mhm.
That money was funded by the infrastructure bill, and the present administration has funded as stopped all distributions under
Gotcha.
that authorization. So we have a quarter of our budget that we don't expect to get until something changes. So we're proceeding, but that's a factor because as when we make our request for the county, we've been counting on having additional funds. That's part of what we're trying not to hit the county.
Yep.
Yeah.
But So, and we will try not to this year. But that's a concern about how we make a difference, or we have to cut back on our services.
Yeah,
Gotta have
wow.
both boxes, if not all.
Yep, I'll have to learn more about it, but yeah, as everybody knows, it's going to be an
But I
interesting.
suspect
year.
Lincoln County Historical also has gotten money from the county in the past. And there's funding which usually goes to museums and historical organizations.
Yep.
It's not big bucks, you know, we're talking maybe $10,000. But
Yeah,
they may
I
not
think
be
they
getting,
gave the historical, so I think it was 19. We have and you probably know about this, Jeff. We've got an interesting arrangement where the county still owns the old Wiscasset jail on Federal Street, but for something like 50 to 70 years, the Historical Association has been doing the upkeep and maintaining it. So that's the little I know about that.
yeah, it's good partnership. And the county has been supporting the association with small money again because of the benefit to the county. But another thing to look out for is the funds that are coming to museum and historical nonprofits are also right now not coming out.
Yep. Any other questions for Evan? Evan, thank you for this.
Thanks, Evan.
As always, have a good evening.
Numbers.
And you can contact Michelle anytime. She's in there, I think 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday.
Yep, and I know you've been good in supporting us here on Westport, so we
Trying
appreciate
to.
that.
I'll be looking for that flag going up the flagpole.
I was thinking about that.
Oh, and
yesterday.
speaking of, I actually was, when I was down there today, I took a ride down the island to see where they had left the fiber infrastructure, and near as I can tell, they stopped at the north end of East Shore Road. On the main.
Yeah, I've seen the wires and it's gone down quite a good
Yep.
distance. I was
We have
I was
a,
thrilled that they included us.
yep, we've got a meeting with them that anybody can attend next Monday at 3 p.m. at the Planning Commission office, and they're just going to give us some construction updates.
Is it available on Zoom also? I know
Yeah,
last time I attended on
I can
Zoom.
try and get the link over to you guys. Yep.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I'll put
Yeah.
that in.
Yeah, it was
put that in my
helpful,
calendar.
because I was able to give an update. And I think, we were excited that Westport is included considering we weren't part of the grant, so.
And it was neat that it's the area that had the old cop under Spectrum. So yeah, it's actually, it gets everybody on the island now has availability for fiber.
Yep.
So that's great.
Yeah,
I just wish they were continuing on down.
I know.
So,
I know.
Yeah.
I think they probably will in due time, but I think they want to gauge the interest of
For a little
communities
competition.
Mhm.
sometimes. So
Well, when I first moved here, it was dial-up and I dealt with that for quite a few years,
Yep.
so. I can't even imagine doing dial-up anymore with, you couldn't say anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
but yeah, people that are interested and definitely want to take it, they can sign up right now and you can select the expedited installation. So I've done that at my house and they've already come out. It was probably a month after they ran the line, and then another contractor came up with a ladder, dropped a line to the house, and installed what they call a slack box. So that altogether took like half an hour, so saves a lot of time when the day they're going to come back to and plug it in.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Evan.
And one more note on that, and that's the last thing I'll tell you, is that if people do go on to fidiumfiber.com and their address does not show up, have that person reach out to me or forward me that person's contact info, and we'll make sure that gets remedied. If they're on
Great.
at least if they're on the north side of East Shore Road.
Does that include you?
Yeah, we're already hooked up.
With video?
my Slack payments.
Stop us.
I haven't done mine yet.
It's right. Yeah, we're above the top. You can make sure. There,
I'll be surprised if you get,
yeah, me too.
yeah.
Close
So I
enough.
think they're coming down, but like I said, I'm coming down the main road,
Yeah.
but they come down all the way as far as East Shore.
But have they done the
But
sub?
I don't think they're doing the side.
They already did mine and hooked it to my house.
But you're about,
But you're still
Looking
aside.
at like I went by, and so when you see the loops on the bottom,
Yep,
they've done
yep.
that, and I think for the majority of the side roads north of East Shore Road, that those will be satisfied by those loops. So I don't think that they intended on doing the full fiber installation on the side roads. I think they wanted to get to them by drops because a lot of them are somewhere around the cutoff point is somewhere around in the 40s in the number of houses. If it's more than 40, then they'll put in like a larger cable, basically.
So you need to get your neighbors to.
Can you make sure April gets taken care of?
Yeah,
We will be in discussion.
right.
We will
great.
try and bully some people on the way.
All right, thank you, Evan.
Have a good night.
Next on our, yep, good night. Next on our agenda is, an aquaculture application for Jesse Roach. Do you have that information, April?
I think I printed out his email and put it in there. In your folder. Or, but if I didn't, if you give me a minute, I could probably.
I don't see it.
Basically, it's the same thing we've been doing.
There it is. Yep, it's here. Okay, and, Jesse can't be here tonight, but he sent an email, and so I'll read his email. The lease applied for would be for 2 additional lines parallel to the 2 existing leases. Each line is 130 feet with 16 cages attached in a row. They would be located on the kelp side of the inner creek. So these are on Squam Creek. There will still be adequate access and space for canoe and kayak navigation. I'm in regular contact with Kelt and participating with their studies in the creek. I have also proposed research on the leases pertaining to concerns over oyster and clam coexistence. I will be working with a biologist at Darling Marine Center, largely investigating oyster nitrates discharge in settlement and nutrient distribution in the water column. If approved, the 4 LPAs will be the maximum allowed leases of their kind. The plan also includes required bird mitigation by use of deterrents to prevent roosting on the cages. Don't think of those kind of things when you're thinking about just having a cage there. When installed, islanders are welcome to canoe, kayak in the creek and observe the process of raising the oysters. So, again, this is coming through in MDR, DMR. I always spell it wrong. It's just 3 letters of the alphabet. But we also, since this is about the 4th or 5th or 6th that we've had this winter.
Yeah, it's great.
I just want to publicly say that the board is going to do further research into this, just to, we're hearing 2 sides, don't try to do anything about it, just let it be. We shouldn't be at all concerned about it. And another side that's saying we should put a moratorium on it. We should really look at this very closely. And so as a select board, just because so much of this has come up and because we're hearing 2 different sides, we will be doing our own research into what is the town's responsibility, what is the town's rights as far as this goes. So I just want to put that out there publicly so that they know we're doing something. Did either of you want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
Maybe a question on the
Yep.
process, when someone makes an application for aquaculture application, in oysters, do the rules require them to get any, to notify butters of that?
Yes.
Yep.
They are supposed to, so not only Kelt would know, but the Hopkins and the Squire Tarbox would know because they abut the
No, it's a small radius. So actually, I believe in Jesse's case, when he brought those applications in, his only abutters are cows.
because they're right there by the shore.
Yeah.
And I know he has talked to them.
Yeah. I don't know that there's an impact, it's kind of going back to the process.
No, absolutely, but we're sort of in between everything where we don't really, as far as we understand it, have any kind of real strong say in anything. It's just kind of letting us know if we have any concerns, we can express them, but we don't get to make the decision.
Yeah.
So it's actually the DMR.
Yeah.
It's all the
Yeah.
licenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting, yeah, but
Yeah,
that's why we're doing some research now, because we're hearing kind of 2 different sides. There's a group that wants towns to do this ordinance and put a moratorium on this. And then you have this group, and it's just kind of a little bit, I'm going to say it, suspect in my mind, that all of a sudden everybody's scrambling to get these oyster farms going here because maybe they see something coming down the pike that we don't know. So we're feeling like it's to do our due diligence to investigate it a little bit more and kind of try to find out
We
where
don't
we
have,
stand in this.
yeah, we don't have a. It's, we're not leaning one way or the other.
No.
We just want to find out
We just don't know.
what we can do, yes.
That's great, applaud that attitude, that's good, knowing that you
I mean,
don't
you know-
have a final say, yeah.
When they first came here, we were like, oh, this is great, we're very supportive of small, businesses on the island, and it was all, and then all of a sudden there was another one, and then there was another, and Jesse had two, now Jesse's got two.
And then there was somebody from away who also wanted to come here on the island.
It's like, wait,
Now we're, yeah,
what's
Yeah, something's up.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong. It's just that we just have to be really careful that if there's something we should be doing, then we need to know that.
Right, I think again, the folks that came in with the complaint about them, pointing to things like blocking waterways.
And we have some narrow channels
Yeah.
around this island.
And the Devil's River
Yeah.
is, the great example.
Exactly,
And also from McCoy Bay.
Yep.
From Brunswick area. So-
Right.
Yep.
So,
Right.
yeah, there's a potential issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just want to, instead of, listening to, these people talk about it, is it the Heritage Foundation or whatever? Or
Fishing heritage.
Maine Fishing Heritage, and then somebody else comes in and says they're really bad. It's like, we just need to do our own research and,
So
um,
in the
so-
DMR process, there is a spot there for municipal approval. There's also the opportunity for public comment on all their applications. So if there was a Mr. Hopkins neighbor of the projected farm, as long as they stay up on when the applications are put in, there is a place for them. And they can present whatever their opposition is. Maybe they don't want to look at it, it doesn't necessarily have to be just navigational. It could be
Mhm.
whatever their issue is.
But how do they know that it's happening?
So that's, the select board has been going kind of above and beyond, because really our only obligation and what I was doing when I first arrived here was putting a piece of paper in the bulletin board.
Mhm.
Oh, we go with that.
Mhm.
So, we started thinking about it and discussing, be like, well, we're not obligated to, but we probably should publicize this more. So now, we put, the paper notice out, of course, but we also announce it on Facebook. We put it on the website, we put it, if there's time, this is a very short one, it's only 2 weeks from the notice to the end of the public comment period. But if there's time, we put it in the newsletter, and they put it on their agendas now, so that every time we can have this discussion, and they invite the person applying to come in and talk about it. We don't go as far as to notify our butters, because that's the applicant's job.
But it sounds like they don't have to, very many abutters, if it's a limited radius.
Yeah.
And it doesn't involve Squire Jawbox, which is right across from.
Right, so like, do we wanna go above and beyond and try to notify a bigger radius of abutters?
That may be-
But it might be,
That may be more legislation. To modify the rules at the state level, to make it more consistent, because what you're doing, like peers,
mhm,
you have to tell buses around on your side.
But I think it's new territory,
For us,
It
yes.
started with the salmon farms, and now, you got these oysters, and it's growing, and towns don't know what they did in Brunswick. Maybe they didn't know the ramifications of what happened.
Yeah.
So.
but it's also kind of nice, they're like small farms, so it's like.
Right.
Figure out how to
Yeah.
balance
And it fits our
it.
comprehensive plan.
Exactly.
Support,
Yeah.
farming agriculture,
Yeah.
so
Right.
it's
But how
consistent.
much is too much?
Well, that's the thing, that's how do you get the appropriate
Yeah.
amount of awareness
Right.
and
Mhm.
discussion,
Mhm.
and that's. Or you might say, is just, do people know who might be impacted?
Mhm.
And I think April, to your credit, if you're putting it into your monthly postings, then that's at least.
It's so classic
Something.
though, it's like something happens and people are like, it's like the sign, where'd that come from? I've been talking about that for years, it's like how much you wanna pay attention, and all of a sudden you see something that you don't like,
Mhm.
but you weren't tuned in prior to that, whose responsibility is that? So,
Okay, and these things, not necessarily oyster farms, but these sorts of things can potentially grow into something that wasn't a nuisance to anybody and nobody really cared about when it was this size. But okay, well, now it got to be this big and now they have to have, you know, aerators and they have to have pumps running constantly. And so now your peaceful, quiet front porch that you used to sit on is now you're in an industrial zone. When it was all brought forth in the beginning as, oh, I'm just gonna be a small little oyster farmer.
Right.
So
which is
we
what
don't
heard.
want that to happen. I'm not saying that that's the potential particularly here, but
Mhm.
those things have happened in many other
Mhm.
places, and we wanna make sure that, you know, so somebody that might be out of the, maybe they're not even in a butter, but they could be affected just by hearing and visual and, you know, physical, just about, well, can I get my kayak through there?
But, and we talked also about, as we look at the CMFA issue, you know, the ordinance there, it's like, is there some connection there? So while that's being looked at, you know, this may be the time to sort of, there may be no connection, but there may be something. So while we're looking at things,
Like I said earlier, it's like everything is happening all at once.
all right, on to roads. We were already on roads. Do you have anything else to add, Mr. Cromwell?
The mud is receding, I took a ride around yesterday, this rain actually helped them, they get to the point where. A good steady rain will actually settle things back down, help them dry out, I think that's where we're at. I looked at the spot on. Everybody calls it Post Office Road, but it's really not, it's West Shore Road.
Yeah.
There's two failed culverts there. And I think we can do the same thing like we did to Saltwell Road last year. And hammer some ledge, put some under drains in. Run some fabric and gravel up through there and. Not patch that situation, but make a permanent lasting improvement so it
Mhm.
stays dry, so. I don't have to hear about it secondhand and it's been on Facebook, I can. Actually not get any calls on it next year,
Mhm.
and I wish people would call me. I beg people to call me.
Okay, we
And
posted
then
on
put it on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, yeah, but your number is available.
Cause I don't have time for that stuff.
Yep, yep.
Call me,
Mhm.
if you want to get on Facebook, then you can have that. I do the most.
Posted your number. on
Yes,
Facebook.
yeah.
Right,
Yes.
but people for some reason,
Because it's easier to post something on Facebook, you don't have to actually face it.
haven't yelled at anybody on the phone
I know,
that I know
you know.
of yet. But, they need to communicate with me, did I know the spot was bad? Bad, people keep driving through it. And everything else is dry, that's gonna be a while drying up because they continue to drive through it when it was all running up. I can't fix it.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't think, Charlotte, since it's been a couple weeks since we've met, that between the last meeting and this, we actually had to close down an intersection that, had gotten so muddy. And people complained about it, still, those who could went through and probably didn't help the situation. And then others, got stuck. So, Jim closed it down and it just got open again, right? It was open again.
A citizen called me, and asked if they could move the variance one side of the road, because one side was dry and running me up. And I said, sure, and I went down, looked at it, it's fine. We're getting possibly some snow tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll have that much impact on it, I think the frost is, there's no frost in there, but there's not a lot. And out of 20 miles road is 370 feet, and there's multiple ways to get there, it's not a main road. Like I had to deal with last year with old people that had no choice. Dead end road, that's what my priorities are. But I'm gonna deal with this because. You know. People need to call me, that's all I'm saying, people need to call me, stay off of Facebook. Call me, then get on Facebook.
And Jim, what is your number so that Charlotte can put it in the newspaper?
350-9562, and it's on the town website, and you can call anybody that knows me. And I got hundreds of relatives around here, my number is not that difficult to get. There's no excuse,
Which is no excuse.
Perfect.
depends, next spring it might be something different.
So Jim, is it that section open now or one side's open?
One side is open,
Okay.
travel at your own risk.
Yeah, the UPS driver came in and asked about it because he was taking it off pretty often, which is might be part of the.
90% problem
Yeah.
is these
Big,
UPS.
yeah,
And I am considering dropping the weight limit next month season.
Mhm.
I'll be allowed over.
These people.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I didn't build these roads. I've been road commissioner for 2.5 years.
Mhm.
People keep complaining.
Mhm.
Well,
Right.
what can I do about it?
where's a friend's address and have them deliver it there.
Where's
So we can make this.
Yeah, we can do it here,
UPS that.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I do during mud season. I have all my shoes and stuff.
These trucks are just under the limit and UPS and FedEx and DHL are making multiple trips a day.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
I think we can just make a policy that, you know, there's 2 months out of the year that you just either don't order or find them.
You know, when you're bringing, geez, March is coming. I should fill up my oil tank in February.
Mhm.
We could avoid so many of these problems.
I mean, I think about my whole own driveway. It's like, I know they don't want to come down my driveway. So if I'm gonna order, it's like, it's either gotta be before December or,
Well, I mean, a little common sense.
yes, yeah,
Not with that.
yeah.
All right. You know, I'm not gonna order 20 different things from 20 different vendors that are gonna show up with 20 different names. It's some guys, and I got no problem with the mail. The mail truck weighs about 2,000 pounds. These, like I say, these UPS trucks are just under the limit, and if the problems continue, I will just lower the limit, so they will not be allowed on the roads in the spring. It's people's choice.
Yep. Well,
I'm
they're the
what-
ones that are complaining.
I'm gonna let the citizens of Westport make that choice by their actions.
Our UPS driver is a really nice guy and he was fine. He totally understood. He was just curious when.
Yeah.
It would be open again.
If he keeps driving through it, the way it is right now,
Yeah,
probably won't be open for very long.
yeah,
If he goes around
yeah.
the next couple of days,
Well, they're in a tough spot. They're under tons of pressure from UPS.
Exactly.
if they get 2 days worth of deliveries to do in a day, that's why they all drive like madmen.
Yeah. They're under pressure, so it's not good, but yeah.
Not online or do anything like that because. No, I'm not putting my burden onto somebody else.
Yep.
Which is exactly what they're doing.
Are the roads in general still posted, the dirt roads?
Yeah,
Okay, I think the one assigned at the end of post office, where it intersects with Main might be gone.
there's no on that.
There isn't?
You can't get there without traveling on a posted road.
Oh, cause Main Road.
West Shore, Main Road, that's the last 2 signs on the hour because anything below that, you can't get there.
Okay, people were confused. I was like, I know it's posted. They're like, there's no sign. So I'm-
Confusing about that.
You can't get down the road there.
I see.
Yeah.
Couldn't even be coming down Main Road.
Yeah, if you can't see this, you're already, yeah.
They get wet up in West Shore, they need to turn around.
Yeah, okay,
The posters on both roads.
okay.
Yeah, I guess people
I'll
don't,
share that. That's-
yeah, understand that.
Yeah, because that
Good
came up.
education needed, I think.
Yeah, it's like you should post every road. And it's like, well, if you're coming down the main road and it's posted.
$2.20 a piece,
Yeah, yeah.
and I gotta put them up.
Yeah.
And then you gotta take them back down.
Why would I need to post all these roads that don't need posting, because that comes in wrong.
No, I'm saying like, you know, when they're at the end of a road, it's kind of obvious that that road is posted, right?
Yeah,
But the main road is posted.
I know,
For you to go down Main Road at all,
You're on West Shore Road, you break it all.
right,
Yeah.
but it's posted on Main Road,
So Main Road is
Mhm.
posted on up the West Shore Road,
right?
so there's no way to get.
You can't
out
get-
of there
you
without
can't-
breaking the law.
Yeah,
without going down Main Road.
People who drive trucks like that.
they should
Happens every
know,
spring.
yeah, they should.
They look.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
They know.
Anybody that drives a commercial truck knows.
Yeah. All right, committee reports. Do you have any update on yours?
so what would you like to know about? Let's see.
Probably nothing.
Okay, never mind.
Are there any updates on?
Yeah, so Chris and I did make our rounds of all of the buildings.
That's right, yeah.
I've got half of them, the inventories and prices is done. I'm working on the other two.
This is a property management.
Property management, inventory and priorities list. Costs are scary. We already know that. So we'll get them all out and start setting some priorities and see where we want to go. And everything needs a lot of work.
Bottom line.
Throwing that out. Everything needs a lot of work. We're gonna try to put together some fun island volunteer work projects this summer. Mostly scraping, painting, stuff that pretty much anybody can do. We're gonna look at getting a lift for doing the backside of the old town hall. Cause nobody wants to climb that high on a ladder anymore. But I think with a lift, we could do the back in one day. It would be really good. So some of the projections of things we're gonna do, we have a bunch of smaller little projects. Jeff had mentioned getting some volunteers, maybe we do some of those things. Like the railing replacements and, little patch jobs here and there, we could get people that are interested to do, so.
Nice community activity.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. And we have a lot of work to do right around this building. With the horticulture interested people.
Hey, the first time we finally come here and we put a ton of bulbs down, there should be about 180 of them coming up. And then Chris said, oh, we need to
Fix the drainage.
get rid of some of the plants. I was like, well, we didn't put them there to begin with, but please don't stomp on our bulbs when they come up.
That reminds me. Something, when it gets more towards, and I'm not a plant person. But before the time comes to plant stuff. I told you I'd get some topsoil, some primo topsoil for up by the sign.
Yep,
I just need to know a little bit ahead of time,
yep.
but I need the poster to come down first, cause Lord knows poster.
Cause you can't bring stuff.
Ashley has a little bit of ARPA fund that I guess we still have time to spend somehow. And she's looking to spend them. And so, I mean, it's sign related. I think that would probably be allowed. And also to put the big rocks, we're gonna put 3 nice looking large rocks in front of, or a number of large rocks to keep people from driving into the sign. If they
Going back and the flowers.
Right.
so, obsessed with whatever they're reading, they just drive right into it. I don't think that would happen, but.
So I thought it was nice today. I came on the island and there was a sign that said, meeting tonight. It's like, oh, yeah.
Every
I
Monday.
would have forgotten.
All right.
So keep going. The pancake breakfast is Saturday. I'm planning on opening up the town hall on Wednesday morning because then I need to go to Callis. So I'm not gonna be here Wednesday, Thursday. We'll be back for Friday. So if something shows itself as a problem, you can call me and I'll try to wrangle Jimmy up to fix it.
Yeah, because Friday we'll be there organizing and setting up, so I'll make sure to check everything.
Do we have to do something with that siding for the breakfast?
Uh,
I think it'd be all right.
We were fine with the chili cook-off.
I just.
Yeah, in fact, what we did is we purposely put tables so that
Right.
pushed them against there so that people wouldn't couldn't sit on the other side, so that kids weren't running around and whatnot. So we just set it up. And it worked fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, nobody was hurt or anything else. No.
we may wanna put them outside for town meeting.
Yeah.
At least for the day,
Yep,
get down there in the morning, put them outside. Like,
yep. All right, next we have select board business, and first on our list is the a tax abatement request. This is for Gail Rader tax abatement request, and they evidently had been paying taxes on 3 acres, but only on 2 acres.
Do we have to switch into assessor board mode to do that? We probably should.
Your meeting as the select board and board of assessors, that's kind of how I've been treating it. That's what your agenda says. We used to do
Close one, open
adjourn,
another.
open, adjourn. I don't think that's necessary now that I've sort of given it some thought, but there isn't any
Are you
clear
okay with this?
rule about it.
I'm just mentioning, I think we've done it that way before, but
Yep.
whatever.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept this application for abatement. I've talked to Ashley about it, and
I think they approached the town with something and then the assessor agent, Courtney found that we were charging them incorrectly by acreage.
Right.
It was like 3 acres, it should have been 2.
right. So, yeah. And we can do it for the past 3 years, even though it's been longer than that. Mario?
I think it would be good. I went over all these assessment sheets. My house, the old house and all that. I found quite a few mistakes. Like my neighbor, he paid for an X-ray. He doesn't really care. He says, I don't want to bother. But I think if you would make it available to the people without they have to come here and ask for the sheet. And it's available online, if you tell them they should check. Somebody else I checked had no bathroom, but it had one. I don't know if they're gonna come forward, but just so they are aware with all these different things.
Two things, Mario. One, we are gonna have the reval coming up. And you know, we have a contract for that. We have to still get town approval to pay for it, but we have somebody who's willing to do that, and that will give us the opportunity to fix a whole lot of things that are inconsistent. But there is now on when you look at your tax map, there is a Trio card there now.
No, I know,
And
that's what I checked.
yeah,
I think it would be good that everybody would check their own, so you're prepared to have an
Yeah.
answer or something.
you have some thoughts on that?
No, but it is up to
Yeah, I know,
every.
that's what I'm saying, make them aware that they can
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
look
suggesting-
online,
Yeah.
pull up
Yeah.
the assessment sheet and then look at it, and then you get some surprise.
Yeah, and I do know, one of the reasons we really liked the assessor was he talked about, when he was gonna do the reval, that he would actually send out information. Remember about, everybody would get their own personal information, which is absolutely wonderful. So that, then you have that information.
Yeah, no,
Now, I know there are a lot of inconsistencies. One of the challenges would be is if everybody suddenly came to the office and said, you
A
know,
lot of work for you guys.
right, well, I'm thinking of for Josh, and he is hoping to fix that in the next year or so. And actually it'll start in 2027. So
you know.
I know there are
I
challenges.
always looked at some of what I own with a few
Yeah.
friends, and
Yeah.
I think every one of them had one or two mistakes, and
I think maybe before we do the reval, that would probably be a good thing to suggest people do. So that they can compare it to, or they can own up to saying, you're right, this says no bathroom, but I really have, I had a bathroom put in 5 years ago or something. Or it says I have 3 acres, but I really have 2 acres, so let's talk about this.
so
So,
I had 480 feet of waterfront. When I made it my business to go and measure it, it's only 400 feet.
yeah. There are, you know, it's never gonna be perfect, and there are a lot to check, but we do have reval,
Yes.
hopefully gonna fix
I don't
that.
know, beating the bushes to encourage people to request abatements is a good idea, because it seems like
No.
you guys are gonna be doing the work of the revow ahead of time.
Right, that's why, yeah,
Also,
yep.
they have a really good incentive. People who want an abatement are paying too much money, so they're gonna
Right.
they're gonna notice. you
Right.
know, if
Yeah, so I'm thinking of like,
money.
when the reval is coming, that, if they wanna,
Well, they'll get to meet with Josh, right? He's gonna go to every household, so.
Yep. Yeah. All right, next,
Did we finish that? Did we,
oh,
you mentioned.
oh,
I
okay.
don't think we voted. You didn't vote yet.
So that's right, we had a question that come, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the application for abatement for, Gail, Grader. Do I have a second? All right, and, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we're, okay. All right, porta potty. Time.
Yeah, I had meant to take this off the agenda, but Frank did it.
Yeah.
But basically, we've been looking into renting a handicap accessible porta potty for the town meeting. Because some people last year said they didn't come because we didn't have an accessible bathroom. It's really affordable. It's like $200 for the weekend. So that cost is not a barrier. The barrier is where do you put it that's handicapped accessible? Because
Yeah.
if you're taking up parking,
Yeah.
or if you're on the lawn, you're behind those concrete barriers that I'm pretty sure a wheelchair could not fit through.
Would have a hard time.
Yes.
We can move the barrier, I think, check out to do that, and we do still have sort of a handicap parking space
Yeah.
outside, but it needs refreshing.
One of those,
What?
maybe only have to move one of those barriers,
That's the thing, just there by, in the vicinity of that sign on
Right.
that side of the building, right?
right?
People still have to, go through dirt and whatever to get there, but maybe better than nothing, and it's a low cost, so. I'm gonna keep looking into companies, but they're coming in around $250.
And you said it's not ADA compliant, what does that mean?
Oh, so one of the companies I spoke to, he said. The ADA compliant ones are huge.
Huge.
Because
Because you have to have
an
the
ADA
5-foot
bathroom,
circle in it.
they're made for like, those guidelines are made for actual built bathrooms,
Yeah.
not really for porta potties.
Okay.
So what he suggested, he's like, well, it's not ADA compliant, but you can definitely get a wheelchair comfortably, and they're made to be accessible for wheelchairs, and it was a lot better.
Did you talk to you?
I called them and left a message, I haven't heard from them, but yeah,
They do have handicap accessible
right.
for.
Yep, so I hope to hear from them, I've only got one quote. And I talked with a bunch of companies that kind of serve the area, it's hard to find somebody who does, but then somebody pointed me to Ideal out of Wisconsin, so they really.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I'm. $200 for the weekend sounds a little pricey to me.
Yeah, no,
They've gone up,
No, I don't, you got two of them. One Sam said won't show up,
yeah.
not handicap accessible, but. We got them on each end of town, because
Mhm.
then we don't pay that much for them coming to Cleveland every week, and having a thing. I know a one-time thing's a lot more money.
Yeah,
Yep,
They're gonna come get deliver it and come pick it up.
yep, yep.
Right, I know that's more money. We don't think that for a month for.
Well, maybe we should just see what the monthly rate is.
yeah,
We
I get it for the month.
can leave it there for the same cost.
There you go. Yeah,
I'll get at least 3 quotes to,
Okay. so you'll come back
if I
to
could,
this.
3 companies that serve this area, because this is a little tricky.
Sure,
No, they don't,
no,
no,
you checking Well Brothers?
I don't think so.
Well Brothers,
When you're talking to them, can you check with what the specs are for where they're gonna set it on? Does it need, doesn't need a flat, the pad 16 by 16?
Jeff, can you make a
Thank
copy
you.
for him? He's been.
Sure.
Thank you. Because I know he's waiting for that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't think Roy Griffin does a lot for you.
Nope, I called. We had a lot of calls, talked to a lot of people about toilets last week. But I didn't see Blow Bros, some of them don't have websites, or,
Well, they're in Saco somewhere, but
Yeah.
they used to be like the only ones around now, when everybody's gonna look.
yeah, okay.
It's
Okay,
somebody's gonna do it.
Say that again.
so on the agenda is the May meeting schedule.
What do you think, ladies, are we ready for weekly?
We're doing 3 weeks in a row.
I kind of think we probably, but. Of all the times of year, this would be the one you probably wanna go weekly,
Yeah,
I would suggest it, because who the heck knows what'll come up with.
well, the thing is that we also have 2 meetings, evening meetings to bring people, to share this, so.
Oh,
I
God,
think
Friday and
in
the
the
third.
past, we've sort of talked about them here,
yeah,
but I feel like they should really be reserved for there. That's why we have those, just to talk about the warrant.
Yeah.
Articles, so, and that's on the 16th and the 22nd. But we aren't gonna be meeting on the 28th. Thank you. We're not gonna be meeting on the 28th, so I would say. We would definitely wanna meet on the 5th.
Yeah. Do we have,
I know we're having to meet in our workshops. A lot of work there because we were gonna be planning for the 16th and then the 22nd. What we were just saying, Jeff, is in the past, I know we've talked at the board meetings about the warrant articles. We're planning to have 2 special meetings on the warrant articles. Public meetings. So
Okay.
rather than do it here, it's gonna be a public meeting. We're gonna have a public meeting, as you've already heard. We'll do it on the 16th, and then based on the feedback we get, hopefully we'll get some feedback. We may have to tweak a couple of the articles, and then we come back again on the 22nd. So we're gonna have 2 meetings in May where we just talk about warrant articles. So we're just trying to figure out, do we need to meet every week in May? We definitely meet as a board for workshop, but the question is, do we need to meet?
Do we have any
As,
actual items that
yeah.
are pressing time wise?
I'm just a little nervous about yourself meeting weekly in May.
We can do that.
We can do it. We just put it down. 5, 12, and 19. 26th is Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, see, 'cause,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's do 5, 12, and the 19th. That's fine.
The 5th to 12th.
And the
And
19th.
the 5th,
Yeah.
12th, and 19th, for three Mondays in a row, Jim. And then the 26th is a holiday.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to meet probably June 3rd, well, we'll see. Because that would be the deadline to sign the warrant, maybe we'll sign it early this year, could be a
Oh, yeah,
miracle.
I'm
But
sure
you
it will
have
be
to
done.
sign it the 19th, because I don't think that's doable, because you're not even having. The second workshop until the 22nd, and you can't meet the 26th, so you're gonna have to sign it June 3rd.
So we'll meet also June 3rd. So just go ahead and put it right on there.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
One posted this.
Yes, June
That's-
2nd. I'm sorry, June
Yes.
2nd. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've gone to July.
What did I say? Yeah, it's okay, I just.
Yep.
Right, was it Monday?
Yep, no.
Yeah.
All right, so that's taken care of.
Good. I haven't seen him in the last
June.
month. Oh,
That'll be good, it won't be the actual deadline.
All right, staff announcements. We have, you have some things, April?
Yep, nomination papers are due April 11th, that's
Which is
just Friday. I'm gonna be here, I'll be open for an hour, 4 to 5 on Friday, just to accept nomination papers, that's sort of recommended by the MMA.
How many nomination papers you have out?
0, so. Donna returned hers, Jim returned his, and they have enough signatures, so they both made the ballot,
You're right.
no one else has taken out paper. So.
Next is RSU 12 budget presentation will be next Monday, the 14th at 6 o'clock. Superintendent, Tuttle will be here with, the rest of his team. Mooring permit renewals.
Due May 1st, so those have to be renewed every year now. Ted and Christy are reminding people and working on it, and there's now an online form people can. So that's us.
Okay.
Can you submit it online?
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't pay it online.
Can't pay it
I'm
online.
working on that. The state has this payment system we already use, and they can expand it to other services, which makes a lot of sense. But they won't return my calls. So I was trying to get the mooring things up for this year, but we'll have to see.
And last on our items in staff announcement, we have the warrant preview and feedback sessions on May 16th and May 22nd. We're hoping to have a good turnout.
What would we say, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
At town.
Yeah, at the town hall.
Town hall.
And we're hoping to get some good feedback. We're hoping to get a lot of people to come, so that we can have good discussion before we ever go to the town meeting. So that's, hopefully that'll get posted in the paper, it'll get posted everywhere, and hopefully we'll get good feedback.
I'll send my newsletter probably the day before, or I can send it a little early, even if we have
Yeah,
materials ready, so people can sort of review.
And you can
kind
put it on the sign.
of the workshops.
Yep, yep. Anything else before we adjourn? Nope, then I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Hi.
Good night, Charlotte.
Good night, Charlotte.
Night, Charlotte.